everyone. I'm Kendria. I need you to go like, follow, and subscribe. Soul Productions.
What's up, everyone? And this is Next Level Thinking.
What's up, everyone? It's another episode of Next Level Thinking. It's your host, Chris Holmes, as always. As you always know, we bring to the next level. Today, I have a special guest by the name of
Lindsey Todd.
Hey. So where you originally coming from?
Yeah, so I am originally from the Midwest, Illinois, but moved out to Los Angeles about a year ago.
Nice. All right, so we come up from the West Coast. As you all know, I'm from Texas, Central Time, but it's all good. So let's go ahead and start broad, and then we go a little bit more in depth. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, definitely want to say thanks for having me on. What you're doing is really cool. So again, my name is Lindsey. I'm 24, so still pretty young, and I've had kind of an interesting journey in the past couple of years. So I went to college at a school called Indiana Wesleyan. Studied marketing, was getting ready to kind of go into like the corporate world or something. You know, my parents both had like very consistent and stable jobs. And so I was looking at big companies like Geico or like State Farm. But a friend of mine actually had a boyfriend who was starting a small, tiny company. It was him and another guy. And I had some free time on my hands. And I was like, well, I think I need some additional money. And so, if your boyfriend needs any help, please have him reach out to me. I'd be happy to help with whatever he needs. From there, I started running social media for them. And then over the past 4 years, I've actually helped grow that company from the 4 of us to 75 now. And that company is located in Indianapolis. So kind of been in the startup world for the past 4 years, which has been a lot of fun. Literally every single day is different, learning something new every day, which has just been a blast, but also a whirlwind. And yeah, it's been super fun. Part of a lot of what I've done there is training. I really believe that, when somebody is equipped with the right information, they can do a better job. And so instead of like me trying to do everything myself, I would rather equip other people to use their strengths and then go and make the organization better as a whole. So,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of good points. So I want to kind of dive a little bit more deep in a
Sure.
couple of things. And first, I went this one because I'm pretty sure this happens a lot. So what was on your mind when you first heard this? You were probably like, whatever. And be completely honest, because this is like, we're just being realistic. Like, so when the idea first came into your head, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah. And sorry, the idea of what?
Like the business and everything, you were like, some
Yeah,
extra cash. But like, what was going on in your head? Because the reason I want to bring that up, because I guarantee anybody who else starts a business is going to face those kind of challenges. So what was going on in your head, and what kind of made it click to be like, okay, I'll give it a chance?
Yeah. So it was really interesting. I feel like now if I were to go and start my own business, I imagine that there would be like this huge fear of failure, right? And I've got a couple side businesses, and so definitely used to that. And but from my perspective, as somebody who, I wasn't the CEO, but I was somebody who came on early. For me, what I was thinking was like, it was really exciting, really fun. I didn't have a ton to lose because I was still really young. And so it was like, well, I'll give this a shot for a little bit. If it doesn't work, I'll go work somewhere else. And, if you listen to like Gary Vee at all, he always talks about how when you're really young, just like go try stuff, like go see what you're good at. You have your whole life to go work for some big corporation. So for me, it was honestly like more exciting than anything. And we were really like pretty fast growing company. It might be different for a company that wasn't, but we were bootstrapped the first 3 years. And so, yeah, it was just a lot of fun to like get a bunch of young people together, not have a ton of limits, and just like really go after something. So it was a lot of fun, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm glad you hit on Gary Vee too, because one of my people that I listen to as well. And it's like, this is definitely the time to take those higher risks and things like that, because you can definitely bounce back a lot more quicker and faster than anything else. And you hit on a lot of other things too. It's like, an opportunity, and what else to lose? So might as well go big, and it's growing. And then you hit something else really big, which was failure. Because a lot of times when it comes to entrepreneurship or startup companies, it is failure because there's not no system in place yet. It's like all new. It's all energies. It's cool. But it's like, okay, what if this thing whole collapse? What's next? And that's another big thing that hits a lot of people. So I know you pushed it to, what you said, like, 75 people?
Yep.
All right, so what was the system, like how did it all form? Because I know it originally started with just you because you were like the early birds, and then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I need help.
Yeah, you
So,
got it. It's exactly right. So basically what happened again, like I think the median age when we had like 25 people was probably like 25. So just a bunch of like young people and there's nothing wrong with age. It's just we didn't have a ton of experience. And so there came a time when we kind of looked around and we were like, all right, it's probably about time we get some people in here who have done this before and can really help us kind of put those processes in place, like you mentioned, because, you know, it's one thing to like move really fast and innovate. But it's another thing to kind of be able to grow a team and put processes in place so that you're not always depending on the same couple of people to get like big things done. You know, you need to be able to like delegate and trust people with things which can't really be done without a process.
yeah.
So we ended up hiring like a leadership team, and they've done a great job of really putting a lot of those things in place.
Cool. And I got to hit on this too, culture. So I know like about building this, you probably had, well, I'm gonna let you have the floor. So was there times where people were bumping heads and things like that? Because I believe that's all kind of part of the growth thing. Because it's not gonna always be sunny and roses. It's part of the build up and then
Right.
you go through the challenges.
Yeah. Culture, it's a great question because, you know, culture is so much more. I think it's like an easy buzzword, but it's so much more than just like what the office looks like or like the fun perks. Because we do have all those, you know, we have like a pool table and unlimited PTO and all these things. But yeah, I think culture is something that has to be very intentional from the beginning and laying down like what are your values, and how are you making sure that each employee on the team really like feels those values reflected from the leadership team to them, but also that person kind of embodies those things. So our CEO Casey has done a really good job. He just cares so much about people, and from day one, that's what the company has been about, is caring about people. And so whether it's an employee or a prospect or a customer, we really, you know, kind of like to keep people at the center. And I think that that's a cool part of the culture of where I work.
Yep, and I think that's like the main thing because no business can survive without the people. You need people to help run the business. At
Yep.
the end of the day, you need people regardless.
Yep.
So, like, and it kind of goes through like life is the measure of the service. And so if you are constantly service and providing to the people, eventually it's going to come to return to you. It's like planting those little seeds and things like that.
Exactly.
Now, if you
Yep.
don't take care of the people and you're always like that, it's going to go the other direction. And
Right.
then you're like looking like, what happens? Well, you need
Yeah.
to
And like you said, what you put out into the world is what comes back to you. And I like totally believe that, you know? So if you're just like, I like to think about in every interaction that I have, I try my hardest to like be a blessing, because then the results just like follow. You know, you don't have to worry about followers or, I mean, of course, money, like you need to worry about money. But if you are really caring about people, like you said, you know, those things tend to come a bit easier.
Mm-hmm. It's like as long as you do the right things, everything's gonna come in apart and things like that.
Exactly.
All right, so you said like marketing and much more like, oh, so when did this company start? What year? Because that's gonna help me form my question.
Yeah. So the company started in 2015, I believe, 2014 or 2015. Yeah.
So that was like the early couple years of Facebook. I'm trying to remember because
It was pretty early. Yeah. It was to the point where social or organic reach was still like pretty easy to get.
Yeah, that was the early stages because like once the organic goes down, the company started putting money into advertising.
Right.
So like with that said, like what was some of the things that you're doing? Of course, you know, all the social media platforms are different now, but what were the things you were doing marketing on social media at that time that was catching people's attention?
Yeah. So again, we were a super small team. And we didn't have a ton of processes in place. So we were kind of just doing whatever we felt was like working best because we had so few resources. But basically what we did was we had a Facebook page where we would run contests pretty often. We would give away like $100 Amazon gift card or a $200 Amazon gift card for like sharing. And that stuff like back then would just go crazy. Like people just shared stuff like crazy back then. And it didn't even have to be like a video or something where you have to have something like that now to get even any reach. But back then it was a simple image, a contest. People really like free stuff. And so, yeah, that was one of our main tactics of growing the page, and it really seemed to work really well.
Awesome. Of course, that was a time when the organic reach was like super high, but also like that kind of little tactic sparked the engagement because they were like, okay, this is supposed to be like, oh, a chance to win this, share.
Right.
Not actually
Right.
having to put money in and all that and much more. All right.
Yep.
Here you provide a lot of value on that. So kind of shifting to the present day, what are some of the things you do now? And by the way, I'm guarantee you, Gary Vee, you'll probably love everything you're saying right now, especially with the people
Oh
power.
gosh. I don't know.
Because you know how he
Always
is.
got you. Everybody who thinks they're right to him, like he's always got something, which is great because you should never think that you're right. But I'd be so scared to meet him.
And that should be part of your challenges.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It'd probably be good for me.
So, like, what are some of the tactics you do now?
Yeah. So, man. Okay. So right now, being at a startup, right, at being one of the first couple people, like I wore so many hats. We all wore so many hats because in the early days, like, as you know, even running the podcast, right, you like have to do everything. It's not just you have this like one job and then another person takes care of the stuff that you don't like. Like you have to do everything. And so that's kind of what a startup is like. So I was doing like a lot of the marketing, some training, some even operations, different things. Today, since we have 75 people, I've kind of been able to like move into a position that I really enjoy doing, and that is training. And so a lot of what I've done in the past couple of months is I created like an onboarding program for our employees. I created a subject matter expert course just to train employees on our industry. And then I also created a couple online courses for our people. So for example, we help people. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I saw you beat me to the punch because I was about to ask, like, is that physical or online? You sorry.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a combination actually. I really like the in-person workshops, but the online courses are cool because they're obviously really scalable. So yeah, we help people sell on Amazon is what we do. And these courses basically help you to understand what steps to take in order to get started and to really build up that side hustle or that business. And so it's been a lot of fun because I get to help people make money online, which who doesn't want to do that? And so it's been a really cool thing to train on.
All right, so I got to throw this one too. So of course, with the internet and social media and much more, like a lot of things are going on. And it's a lot more easier to get things going. So, but a lot of times when things are so fast, it's like, oh, it's too good to be true and things like that. And they're like, so is this a scam or is this going on?
Yeah.
So what you tell like the regular person, like it's not a scam, it can be done with the right steps and much more. Like what you tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, right? Because I think there's buzzwords that are super overused, like financial freedom and quit your 9 to 5. And like they sound like super spammy. But and I'm going to sound salesy probably, but I'll try to make it and I promise I don't care if you like go do anything about it. But basically, 2 years ago, my friend and I started selling online. And in a couple months, we were up to making like 20 grand in revenue a month. And at this point, we each take $500 from the business a month, which of course isn't enough for us to live off of, but that's a great like side hustle. And so for people who, are hesitant because it sounds like scammy, like I totally respect that. And that's a question that you should be asking. But the other thing is, take a look at the actual results if you can, and really understand, like, are there people really doing this and how did they do it? And then from there, like any business, it's just kind of, you got to take that step. And, if you do end up failing, well, failure is an opportunity to learn. And now, not to do that in the future. So with Amazon specifically, like it's just crazy. I know this guy who was working $10 an hour job at a call center 2 years ago. And now he runs a $60 million a year Amazon business that he started from his computer. Yeah. 2 years. And it's like, honestly, the modern day gold rush. And it's crazy how much these people are making. And it's really not that difficult if you've got the right mindset and then the right tools and structure and strategy and all of that.
Yep, you hit all the great points and the grind. Don't forget about that because
yeah, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Seriously, 90% of it is the mindset and the grind.
Yeah, most definitely, because you can begin or end due to your mind. Because
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure we all have friends that see your success and like, oh, she got it too easy. that's
Yep.
impossible and things like that. It's like, yep, and that's exactly why you're right there and I'm right here
Exactly.
because of this.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Like I can't stress it enough to people. And, I think and talk a lot about how like your mindset is a direct input or a direct result of what you're inputting into your mind. So if you find yourself like in a place that you don't want to be in life, like I would consider, reevaluating the things that you're seeing, hearing, learning, because I've really gotten into recently reading books and it's just changed everything for me.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I listen to, like podcasts, I even like read books physically in person, or if I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go, I'll quickly turn on Audible and listen
Yeah.
on the go, just so I can get that like information come in. Because like you got to keep growing, kind of keep
That's right.
learning. Because once you
Right. Well,
start,
so what's a favorite book of yours then?
oh, that's a tough one. Because it's so different.
Or podcast, if you like podcasts more.
At the beginning, a tough one, but I'll throw one on top of my head. So when it comes to podcasts, the Success Formula by E.T., the hip hop preacher, is one of the ones I listen to a lot. There's a lot
Nice.
more other ones, of course, Gary V and like Maxwell and all that. Book, whoo. I may paraphrase the title. I think it's A Millionaire Mind or something like that,
Okay.
which all pretty much focus around mindset and things like that.
Very nice.
Because
I'll
if
have to
you
check it
really,
out.
yeah, because if you really think about it, at the end of the day, it really comes to this.
It's all there is.
Cool. So let's see, hit on a lot of great different things. Oh, so what's some things you got coming up pretty soon?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, I've been getting more active on LinkedIn, and I saw this post that said, here are the 3 reasons people are on LinkedIn. Either they want to sell you something, they have to be because of their job, or it was another one like that. And I was like, that's not fair. Like I'm on LinkedIn to actually like connect with people and to, try to make an impact, to try to like share what I'm learning, and hopefully someone who's reading that thing is going to learn it. So really what's next for me is I've just really enjoyed being on LinkedIn, and I don't have any plans to like monetize it or anything like that. I really just like meeting cool people. Like I met you on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, and I never would have otherwise. And I think there's just so many people out there that are so interesting and doing so many cool things. And so right now in this season of life, I'm just excited to meet people and network. And so yeah, I it's not anything super exciting, but there will probably be something hopefully that comes down the line from it.
Most definitely. And when I really think about it, when it comes to all the social media platforms and all that, is just thinking outside the box. Of course,
Yeah.
what you just said was the traditional thoughts. But the people that really do the game changing, or like the Steve Jobs, like, oh, that's what everybody does. Well, I'm going to take this and do this instead.
Definitely.
Like one thing I'm challenging myself to get more involved in, and I'm kind of hitting myself like, you need to do this more often, and I'm going to make myself do it, get more on TikTok. And I know that's one, because I'm not gonna lie. Because when I first looked, I was like, "Oh, it's just fun, comedy and things like that." I was like, "Oh man," knowing that I'm a creative kind of person, so like, so now I gotta learn this one all over again, do y'all. I was like,
a whole new thing.
Yeah, so it's like starting from scratch. And then I'll literally listen to one of Gary Vee's things, and there's some other people that said basically just take a minute, soak up all the information, even if it's just business hashtags, and just figure out what they do and just do it. And then especially when it came to the business ones, I was like, that's all they do? So it's like, oh, I can do that too. Because in the beginning, you have this initial mindset. It's like, oh, it's going to be this. This is like anything else. Like if you were to tell somebody like, oh, I want to start a podcast, how? And I'd be like, just use your phone.
Not too hard. Yeah, that's so good. And like, I think what stops a lot of people too is like, well, what would I say? And I've been thinking about that a lot because I've been starting to be more vocal on some of these social platforms. And what I've found comes the easiest and that people respond to the best is I just like to think about myself 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, even 2 years ago, and be like, okay, what did I think back then? And what have I learned since then? And then I just like type that out. What did I wish I would have known in an early season of life? And that, that works for some platforms. Like TikTok, of course, might be a little bit different, but maybe not, depending on what you're sharing. And so I think people are just really interested in learning, like authentically, what are you learning right now? Or what are you seeing right now? Or what are you doing right now? And people seem to respond really well to that. So
that's the real deal.
Exactly. It's real. So if you get on TikTok, let me know. I'll be your first follower.
All right, cool. So yeah, and all that all around just sound like a actual journal, like a journey of a blog. So what you were saying, like reflection blog. So that's gonna be something you put up on your bio or something like that. Like me now to 10 years ago.
Yep.
There's one thing I will say that I have learned, especially like you heard of Les Brown. Les Brown is like a very powerful speaker.
Okay.
And one thing that he did say, like, I'll paraphrase a little bit, but they asked him a question of like how we so dominant of being a speaker, being African American, where it's mostly like, mostly dominant white, things like that. And he looked down and he looked back up and started laughing. And he was like, no matter what you may think about me, everybody loves a story. So like when you were talking about reflections of like 5 years ago or like yesterday, it's just like the journey, because we all love a story.
That's what it's all about. We all love to see somebody grow, somebody step into more of who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, because on top of that, it makes it a lot more relatable and feel like, oh, I can obtain this too.
That's right. That's what it's all about.
Cool. So with that said, like, any closing comments and where can they find you at?
Yeah, good question. Just kind of want to reiterate the point, like, if you find, I would say to people, if you're finding yourself just like wasting time scrolling through, honestly, it's not a lack of if you can or can't do it, because you can do what you set your mind to. It's the difference of the mindset, like we've been talking about. And so what I would recommend for people is if you're really finding yourself in a place that you're like, man, I wish I could be doing better. Like, what am I doing with my life? Honestly, I'd recommend, I've just finished reading the book Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. And it's changed everything for me. Like he just talks through what a habit is and how to form good habits and how to break bad habits. And what it's allowed me to do, for example, speaking of storytelling, like I used to just after work, like lounge on the couch and do nothing. And recently I've formed a habit of when I close my computer for the day, I walk down 10 minutes to the gym and I box for 30 minutes. And then I go downstairs to the Barnes and Noble and I sit for 2 hours and I read and I write and I journal. And that like 3 hours of my life every day has just made like crazy changes. And that was from that book. And so honestly, like I'd highly recommend that book for anybody who's wanting to make some changes. And then as far as where you can find me, honestly, I'm most active on LinkedIn right now. So my name is Lindsey Todd, TOD. And I would love to connect with everybody there.
Awesome. And that's how we bring it. Always bringing people to the next level and bringing inspiring guests. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Well, I'm about to bring that back because that is very important when you just say habits, because let's believe there's 24 hours in a day and we all have the same amount of hours. So I had to get this in. After you mentioned that. Yeah, we all have the same amount of hours. But if you really think about the time that we be like just chilling or just scrolling on the phone or binge watching or just like lagging, gagging and things like that, which can add up to hours, you actually have more time than you think. So
that's right.
Very, very solid point. Now back to the end spiel. As you always know, we're always bringing special guests, help you bring to the next level. It's your host, Chris Holmes, as always, and I have my special guest by the name of
Lindsey. Thanks so much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Peace and much love. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share to your friends so we can help people take their life to the next level, because we all can grow and deserve to live our best life. And peace.